What's up guys, it's Evan Prince and welcome to the Retro Room, where I go back and look at some of the older games out there. Only rule is that it has to be a decade old or older. With Spider-Man 2 dropping in October and Insomniac opting to cover the infamous symbiote suit arc for the first time in a video game in over a decade, I felt like I had to go back and play one of the other Spider-Man games to tackle this story. And this felt like the perfect way to introduce this concept of the Retro Room that I've had, so let's do it. This was almost the darkest Spider-Man game. So I've always been a Spider-Man fan, loved most of the movies, and played a good bit of the old games, my favorite of which was Ultimate Spider-Man for the PS2. This one, on the other hand, just kinda never made it onto my radar. Yeah, until I did it for this video, I'd never played this game before, and I'd heard some really mixed things about it. The review scores indicated that it was subpar, and even though the audience scores were a bit more favorable, they were still far from praising it. So I genuinely had no idea what to expect going into this game beyond the three things my friend had told me about it. 1, it had a terrible VA for Peter.
I've got a feeling that the Bugle is not the target. So, what are your thoughts on the new duds?
2, you could swap between red and black suits on the fly. And 3, Black Cat played a bigger role than in her normal appearances. And after playing the game all the way through one time, here's my thoughts about Spider-Man Web of Shadows. It's conceptually one of the darkest and coolest Spider-Man narratives I've ever seen. Its execution, however, is nothing short of middling. Look, I know what I am, and I am self-aware enough to know that a part of my psyche is still stuck in the early 2000s era of overly grungy, quote-unquote dark and gritty storylines. So the idea of a story about Venom's symbiote slowly taking over New York and turning the city to chaos as Spider-Man struggles with utilizing the power of the symbiote suit to fight back, while dealing with the corruption taking him over, sounds like my actual dream for a Spider-Man story. It's stupid, it's extra, and it's awesome. It's also a shame that the concept was not executed in a way that really realizes the potential of the concept. Interestingly enough, the game was developed by Shaba Games and by Treyarch, who would obviously become far more known for their work on Call of Duty games like Black Ops and World at War, which, fittingly enough, are the edgiest of the Call of Duty games by far. So the fact that this game is trying so hard to be dark and gritty checks out, and I find it quite charming actually. Unfortunately, the dialogue, writing, and voice acting is not at all consistent with the game's narrative, causing a whiplash of conflicting tones and ideas. Let's go ahead and address the elephant. Peter's voice acting in this game is bad. I don't want to say the voice actor is bad, believe me, I know how hard it is to voice Spider-Man, but I do think he was miscast or potentially not given good direction, because his delivery on most of the lines in this game is very hard to sit through. The blame is not totally on him either, because some of the lines they wrote for him to say are just embarrassingly bad. This is nothing new to Spider-Man either, to be honest. There is a ton of Spider-Man media out there, and with it, there are a lot of really cringy miscast voice actors, and writers who aren't cut out to write for the character, giving probably not the best material to work with. Yes, I know Spider-Man is supposed to be quippy and make jokes, but if your writer doesn't know how to make charming quips and interesting jokes, you end up with a cringy and insufferable protagonist, which is what we have here. All of his jokes are way too silly and cringy, and they do not fit. Now, if you're thinking, but Spider-Man's jokes are supposed to be cringy and bad, that's part of the charm, I would say not true, because some of his most beloved iterations are not that way, such as Spectacular Spider-Man as the shining example. And even if that was the case, it shouldn't be that way for this Spider-Man or this story, where we see Peter struggling with the symbiote suit, with Black Cat, with the city falling apart, the cops trying to kill him, and thousands of people dying. It doesn't fit here. Even if cringe dialogue normally supposedly would fit, which again, I don't agree it's supposed to be cringy either, because look at how Spectacular made Peter a little bit of a nerd, but did not make him a clown or a fool, then I still don't think it would fit for this story. The writing feels amateurish, and some of it has not aged super well.
Oh my god, you have a MySpace page, don't you? Dork.
I do not.
Ah, you totally do.
Shut up, kid.
Will you add me as a friend? I'll poke you, you poke me back.
I said shut up!
I bet half the people on YouTube are too young to even remember what poking on Facebook even is. However, during the internal dialogue and monologue, I actually didn't mind this Peter VA. It was only when he was talking to other characters that it felt really bad. And I'm sure this was such an exciting opportunity for the actor, but I really feel this was miscast. There's been a lot of Spider-Man voice actors, and I feel like a lot of them were not very good picks. The best ones, of course, being Yuri Lowenthal, best known for the Insomniac games, and Josh Keaton from the Spectacular animated series. They're sort of the crown jewels of Spider-Man at this point. Some bad or miscast ones, in my opinion, would be Drake Bell, Neil Patrick Harris, and of course, our Web of Shadows actor, Mike Vaughn. I guess that's all just my opinion, though. Okay, let's talk about the gameplay. It's actually really fun. I was genuinely enjoying my time playing through it. The web swinging is responsive and feels great. The combat starts off bland, but after getting some extra moves and getting more familiar with the two suits, it becomes more exciting. The wall combat is ambitious and unique to this title, and it's like a whole separate combat zone with different movesets and expectations. The progression, on the other hand, kinda sucks. Essentially what happens is you meet a quest giver, they tell you to go defeat 10 or whatever of a certain type of enemy, or track down and save 5 civilians or something to that degree. You do that, go back to the quest giver, and after a certain amount of times, there's a boss battle. Fortunately, the boss battles are really fun, at least I liked them. They're not like difficult, but they're dynamic, and it feels like a real superhero fight. Chasing the boss across the open world, swinging through the city, fighting enemies, and facing off against whatever boss it is at the moment. Speaking of quest givers and boss battles, Web of Shadows is actually filled with cameos from other Marvel heroes who occupy the world with you. It's really cool to see the fleshed out New York filled with other Marvel characters who interact with each other. Iron Man and the Fantastic Four are mentioned several times, although they never show up. We do see some other great characters, like teaming up with Luke Cage, Moon Knight, and even Wolverine. Black Widow even plays a major role in the later game plot. And although I was criticizing the voice for Peter, we get some quality voice acting for our quest giver characters. Wolverine is, of course, voiced by Steve Blum, because duh, and Moon Knight is voiced by Kazuhira Robert Atkins, Why Are We Still Here Miller Downs.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I really love this feature of getting to work alongside Luke Cage, Moon Knight, and more. It helps make the world feel lived in, and like you're playing a comic run turned into a video game. Additionally, you can even summon characters as allies to help you fight in battles, like it's Saints Row or something. As for the suits, the abilities are different depending on which suit you're wearing. So your red suit has an upgradable set of abilities, and so does your black suit. The upgrades are split between multiple categories such as ground attacks, wall climbing attacks, aerial attacks, and more. This lets you feel like there's a solid sense of character progression, and you can decide which suit's playstyle you prefer and pursue upgrading that one over the alternative. Okay, let's talk about the decisions, one of Web of Shadows' most unique features. Web of Shadows has a sort of morality system. You can get black suit points or red suit points for the way that you play and the things that you do. This aligns the player to either the red or black suit, and it affects which ending the player gets, of which there are 4. I did not know this when I started playing, but figured it out pretty quick and looked into it further as I neared completing it. There are also several key choices where the game allows you to make a serious decision, choosing either a good or a bad outcome, further aligning you with one of the two suits. If you don't want spoilers, click to the timestamp and skip to the next part, as from here on out I'll be talking about the endings and the story overall. These choices are only a small handful throughout the game, and honestly, a few of them feel menial and pointless. I wish that they had more weight to them, but only a couple really feel meaningful. Like the Vulture and Rhino choices just felt lackluster and pointless in my opinion. There are 4 potential endings you can get. 2 good endings and 2 bad endings. The best ending shows Spider-Man getting back with Mary Jane and saving the city. A true hero's happy ending. The second good ending has Spider-Man saving the city, but being ghosted by Mary Jane as his choices with Black Cat have caused her to question their relationship. Both bad endings have Spider-Man choosing not to save the city, but instead become corrupted and try to rule over the symbiotes and become monarch of New York using his new symbiote army. The only difference between the 2 bad endings is that one of them has him ruling with Black Cat as his new love interest, and the other has him doing it alone, hoping to somehow force Mary Jane to be his again. The endings are extra and a little silly, but I feel what they were going for, and it's fun. Quick fact, given the extremity of the scenario we see in the game, it's obviously in its own continuity, but there are some Easter eggs in the game that show the events of the Civil War arc are about to occur, with nods to the Superhuman Registration Act. I just thought that was a cool detail to point out. Anyway, I got the ending where he takes the city for himself, keeps the black suit, and pursues after MJ, which was kind of a cool and fitting ending for this game's narrative. It's probably my favorite overall, and the voice actor's delivery is even pretty good on this ending monologue.
MJ, she thinks she can just walk away. She never understood what it means to have power. Neither did I. But now... I understand what power really is. You'll be mine again, Mary Jane. No one will ever say no to me again.
Web of Shadows is one of, if not the most unique Spider-Man game I've ever seen. From its insane concept of a city-wide symbiote invasion to the multitude of different notable superhero team-ups and the bouncing back and forth between the black and red suits. It's such a bizarre and fun Spider-Man game to play through, and I'm not even sure we'll ever see another game like this in general. I mean, we've seen other Marvel games that feel like lived-in worlds where we witness a comic book style story arc play out, but it just doesn't quite feel the same. Marvel's The Avengers by Square Enix was outright embarrassing, and although the Insomniac Spider-Man games are fantastic and extremely high quality, they feel more like a dialed-in movie script than an over-the-top, insane comic book narrative. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, just that it makes Web of Shadows feel all the more special because of it. Thanks for watching, guys. I know when I talk about games, it's normally a long-form retrospective, but I want to cover more games more frequently, and to be honest, there are games I want to talk about that I just would not be able to commit the time to for a full retrospective. That's when I got the idea for the Retro Room, where we go back into that old room where we store all the games we used to or wanted to play, dust them off, and see what they're all about. So I hope you'll stick around for more of these shorter videos in between my long-form retrospectives like Dante's Inferno and Metal Gear Solid. Speaking of, I've got another one of those in the works for an immensely popular game that dropped back in the early 2000s, so I hope that will be releasing soon. Thanks so much to my patrons and to my subscribers. I love you guys, and I hope that this new method of content output, doing shorter commentary videos and smaller game coverages like this one, will allow me to interact with you even more. I want to bring memberships to the channel, but I haven't figured out how I want to do it in a meaningful way that will deliver the best experience and content yet, so until I do, if you want to support the channel, just subscribe, leave a like, and comment, and I'll be happy. If you really want to show me some love, hit up my Patreon and you can throw me a few dollars there. Much love, guys, and thanks so much for tuning in. That's all I've got for you.